بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, Alhamdulillah, last week we started the section on the tayammum, the dry ablution. And we looked at the shurut, the conditions that are required in order for the ablution, the tayammum to occur. And we also looked at the fara'id, the actions which are obligatory, compulsory in tayammum. I also want to remind our beloved brothers and sisters in Islam that this is actually a very important and sadly a relevant section for us in PE, owing to the water restrictions and the possibility that some suburbs will be without water. It's useful to be aware of the laws that apply for tayammum. So we look at, inshallah, the next section which explores the sunan. So the author states, وَسُنَنُهُ ثَلَاثَةُ أَشْيَاء. There are three things which are sunnah, three sunnah actions. At-tasmiyah, to recite the basmalah, to say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim before you begin. Then, وَتَقْدِيمُ الْيُمْنَى عَلَى الْيُسْرَى, wiping the right limb before the left, and then al-muwalat, which is to do the actions consecutively. Those are the three sunnah actions. What invalidates the tayammum, the dry ablution? Three things are mentioned by the author. First, the author says, ma abtal al-wudu, that which invalidates wudu, invalidates the tayammum. Secondly, if you find water before, now important point of the author, if you find water before you perform your salah. So you've taken tayammum and now water is found, so it won't be on the basis that, well, I already took tayammum, so I'm going to just tafaddal now. No, if the water has been found before the salah has been performed, then that invalidates the tayammum. Of course, it is a different scenario if water is found whilst you are performing salah or after you have performed salah. I will go into that shortly. And then the third point that the author mentions is raddah, that if you make irtidad, a'udhu billah, if you become an apostate, then of course the tayammum falls away. I wanted to mention 3 points, inshallah, interesting points. The first is the distance that one has to search for water in order to qualify to take tayammum. So the scholars differ here, but I'm going to use the two measurements which are predominant in the madahib. The first measurement is 1.7 roughly kilometers. That in your location, if water is not found within 1.7 kilometers, you know that distance, that there isn't water available for 1.7, and we are referring to the person who conventionally walks, not cars here. So if you conventionally walk, you don't have access to a car, and there isn't water within 1.7 kilometers, so perhaps maybe sometimes if water is not available in a few adjoining suburbs, then this law will apply, and you, of course, on the basis that you don't have a car. The other measurement distance is 3 kilometers. Now, in fiqh, we use the safer amount, which would be 3 kilometers. Although there are more ulama that mention the 1.7. So you could use either measurement, but if you have access to a car, additional recommendations apply, that you are then recommended to go and seek your water. So if you take PE, for example, or Utenag, if you can travel a distance in your car to obtain water without the waqt leaving, so you have to, of course, evaluate it, because we spoke about last week, Monday, that the waqt must enter as of the shurut, the conditions. So let's say we could take a good example, the Fajr waqt, which is very limited in time, extremely short. So the Fajr waqt enters, Fajr is upon you, if you can't, there's no water available, and you can't travel, you don't have a car, you'd have to walk, then you'd have to consider the laws of tayammum if they apply. If you have a car, then you need to consider, can I get to the source of water before the waqt leaves? Now, Fajr, of course, is the shortest waqt. Before the waqt leaves, then please get to water. If you are unable to get to water, then the laws of tayammum apply. The dry ablution would apply. So the distance is the one factor. The second is the type of water. Again, we need to reflect on what P might experience. So a lot of ulama have written, what if the water is available, but there's a scarcity, but it's available at a higher price? So ulama have indicated and written that if water is available, but because of a scarcity or a drought, it is now expensive, and your sort of your lowest level of income earners, or the lowest sort of financial part of the sector, can't afford water, then they are excused and they can make tayammum. The ulama have also written, if water has become very expensive across the board compared to its normal cost, then tayammum may also apply. And of course, these are in context of a scarcity of water or drought. Ulama have also indicated that if the water um, is available, but it is only sufficient for drinking. So let's say you are in, maybe I'm talking to the elderly here as well, in your home, let's say you only have a 500 ml water, a little, a small bottle of water, and this is your drinking water. You don't have access to a car, you don't have someone who can deliver water to you, then the fiqh laws indicate that you use the little bit of water to drink and you perform tayammum. Now, you have to evaluate the situation. And then, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the third point that I wanted to touch on is, if water is found whilst you are performing salah or after you have performed salah without the waqt exiting. So let's say you are performing your Asr Salah. You took wudu, you took tayammum, the dry ablution, and perhaps first instance you are in your Asr Salah and maybe you hear someone screaming, water has been found. So what should one do? Do you break the salah and take wudu because there's water, or do you continue the salah? Majority of the ulama indicate that you continue. You do not break the salah for that announcement. You continue, you complete the salah. What is the status of the salah? The ulama differ on that. Majority lean towards the fact that the salah is still in place, because at the time of you beginning the salah, you had tayammum, that was the condition, and so the salah is intact. A well-known incident where this occurred in front of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in his time, one sahabi did not repeat the salah and the other did. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam acknowledged that the actions of both are correct, meaning that whether you repeat your salah with a wudu or you do not, knowing that there's water now available, it both opinions stand. And so the scholars concede on this point. If water is found after you've performed your salah, you've completed it with tayammum, now water is found later in the waqt, you have two options. The one, of course, is that you rely on that tayammum, or you perform salah with wudu. The latter view is preferred in the instance where there is now a congregation, a jama'ah. So a jama'ah is now going to perform the Asr Salah with wudu, with water available, then it would be preferred for you to repeat your Salah. But it is not an obligation, particularly in the Shafi'i school of thought. That is what we are sharing this evening. Jazakallah khairan. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Muhammad rabbil alamin.